Good evening, YouTube. This is Amisbro, and for this we are doing a series review for the series Vampire Knight. Now, this will cover and sort of recap Season 1, and it'll also cover Season 2, which is known as Guilty. I originally thought about just doing them separately, but then I figured, wait a minute. I've done Kuroko's Basketball, and I've done Black Butler of Season 1 and 2 together, so that's what we're going to do here. Where do you can begin with this show? First off, let me go ahead and tell you this right now. I'm going to do something I don't usually do. I'm going to give you whether I would recommend this show or not. Yes! Go watch it, especially since October. It's only 26. It's 26 episodes total because you have to go through 13 episodes of the original Vampire Hunter and the 13 episodes of Guilty. Now, this series tells two distinctly different stories in the two different seasons, but they have like one overlying one. The first season deals with the fact that the male hero lead, if we'll call him, Zero Kiryuu, was bitten by a vampire, a pureblood vampire, and he is struggling with not becoming what is called a level E. Sorry for a second. Now, what is a level E? Well, in the vampire world, what we find out is there are different ranks or tiers of vampires. There's your aristocratic nobles. There's those which are kind of, we'll say, let's put it this way. There's those that work for the Senate. I actually consider them lower. There's those that are borderline DEEN, but not really, and they can fight it off. And then there's the DEENs, otherwise known as the level E's. Those are the ones you have to watch out for because they don't give a damn. Most vampires that aren't level E's can and will adhere to whomever the ruling lord of that particular area is. Basically, if they're going to eat an innocent and they see the ruling lord and that lord gives them a certain look, they'll back off from their prey. Especially if that lord is particularly close to someone. And that is one of the big stories that goes on in this series. You see, we have two main characters we're going to be dealing with. Or you're going to be dealing with a lot. Yuuki and Zero Kiryuu. He has a twin brother named Ichiro. Forgive me later. But you also deal with another main character named Kaname. He is an aristocrat. And he is one of the nobles that I mentioned. Now there's him, there's Rima, there's Ruka, there's Aedo, Kan, and a couple others. Oh, and Ichido. They are part of the court for Kaname, or as I like to call it, his clan. They help the headmaster kind of keep the peace between vampires and the humans. The humans go to the day class, and they reside in what is called the Sun Dorm. The Moon Dorm is where the night class resides. They are considered elitists and perfects. Yeah. Now here's the thing. A lot of the day class students have become infatuated with the night class. They legitimately idolize them. What they don't know is that this place could end up becoming a battleground if things got legitimately out of hand. So, two of the individuals, Yuuki and Zero, end up becoming disciplinarians, part of the discipline committee. It's literally a two-person job. You got 2 people, you got God knows how many students, and you got X number of vampires. Do you see the problem? Yuuki controls everybody, be they human or vampire, by using a rod called the Artemis rod. Meanwhile, Zero, because he's a vampire hunter, he controls people. He controls them with a gun called the Bloody Rose, and that gun, if it shoots a vampire, could kill them, or at the very least severely injure them. The thing of it is over the course of both series, you are learning the development of a lot of things. One is the battle that Zero has to go through to keep from turning into a vampire. You actually learn about this like in episode 2. And that story just builds and builds and builds and builds on itself, because you see him consistently trying to fight it, and he eventually starts using Yuuki for a snack bar. But let's talk about the nobles, because they're ruled by Lord Kaname, or Lord, as I like to call him, Lord Kuran. Well, he has also a very strong attachment to Yuuki. But why? What happened? Well, 10 years prior, we find out that Yuuki was attacked by a vampire, and it was going to injure her and bite her and potentially turn her into a level E, because we're not sure if this thing was domesticated or not. Well, this gentleman, we found out was Lord Kaname, comes in and kills the vampire. But there's other things we don't know about their relationship, and those don't really start to get talked about until you get into the second season. The first season builds on the struggle of Zero as he's trying to keep from becoming a level E. He actually has a problem. See, the vampires there, some of them, have to take what are called blood tablets. A blood tablet looks exactly like a pill that you and I would take. Okay? And all the vampires have to take them. What they do is they would drop them in a water vase, in a glass of water, or a glass of any kind, wine glass, shot glass, whatever, and it would dissolve and turn blood color, and that would be how they would satiate their desire for blood. We found out that Zero in the first season can't take the pill. It's impossible. So the only way he can get the blood that he desires is if he feasts on a human. Well, there's only one human that will allow him to do that. Do you know who it is? Yeah, Yuuki. Here's what else you've learned. You'll learn in that first season. The Hunter Society sends one of their best to try and get rid of him because of the fact that they didn't want to see him become an uncontrollable monster. Perfectly justified. Now, let's fast forward to season 2, because I don't want to give you the whole background of season 1, although I'm going to have to jump in back and forth between them. Season 2 deals with Yuuki trying to discover things about her past. You see, I mentioned 10 years ago. Well, there's more to that story. She wants to really find out what happened 10 years prior. Because all she knows is that Lord Kaname, or Lord Kuran, however you prefer, was an important figure in her life. Here's what she doesn't know. How important was he? Yes, we know that. All we know is that he saved her, and eventually she got turned over to Headmaster Kaizen Cross, one of the top vampire hunters who used a sword for his weapon. And he took her in as her father and became her legal guardian. Okay. Well, that we know. Where does Zero fit in? He got brought in after his family was brutally murdered by a vampire. This vampire, we come to find out later, or we come to find out in season 1, was the person that did the murder, but she's also the same person who turns Zero's brother Ichiro against the family, essentially. Well, it's more like he did it of his own free will. By the way, before I forget, both twins, because they're actually twin brother, were voiced by the same person. In the Japanese version, the one we watched, Mamoru Mayano, yes, one of my favorite voice actors. In the English dub, the one I didn't watch, it's Vic Monogana, I believe it is. I can't pronounce his last name for the life of me. But anyway. But yes, Mamoru does the voice for both of them. Which is really interesting when you have to see them on the screen at the same time. Because he literally has to change his voice pitch. Boop, boop, boop. And he does so very well, by the way. But as you see the story progressing, you really start to develop an attachment for all the characters. Not just the Kiryuu twins. Not just Lord Kaname. Not just Yuuki. Not just, the headmaster, or maybe despising Toga, who's one of the biggest pricks, I think, on the planet, but he actually serves a better use later. You really start to take the whole cast, and you start to go, oh my god, this is one of the greatest stories I've ever seen in my life. And it actually is a very well done story. Because it takes you on enough roller coasters. Now, I haven't given you all the whole skinny of season 2, but it takes you on enough roller coasters that for 26 episodes, you're going, fuck. Legitimately. Because this is the way it goes for the most part. If you were to watch the seasons back to back, right? Which we didn't. We watched season 1 and season 2 a week apart. But if you watch season 1 and then you watch season 2, start season 2 right after it, the last episode of season 1, okay, it transitions to season 2. So, it's almost like one seamless story, which is brilliant. Because you don't see that a lot in anime, I don't think. At least not older ones. Remember, this one came out in 2008. The studio that did it, by the way, is the same one that did one of my other favorite animes. And I know one of Derek Ward's least favorite, 07 Ghost. Yeah, he did a text review on Facebook, and he wasn't the world's biggest fan of it. Which I understand. I enjoyed that story for what that was. I enjoyed this story a hell of a lot. Because seeing the interpersonal relationships between vampire and human, between and the love triangle between Yuuki to Zero to Kaname was brilliant. Yes, I know I fucked that up, but anyway. Because you knew that Kaname had a very strong attachment to Yuuki. By the way, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but Cross is not her last name. It was her adopted last name. Probably one of the best parts of the entire series, especially season 2, was trying to piece together the mysteries of what happened to her memories from 10 years past, and to find out what actually happened to the parents of Lord Kuran, Lord Kaname. You also have situations where you have, they were introduced in, I think, season 2. Maybe if they were in season 1. I have to go back and look. But in season 2, you also have a Senate to deal with. There was a lot of moving parts that occurred between season 1 and season 2. And while, yes, in some cases that may turn off people, and I can understand why, it actually makes a very interesting story, especially when you understand that that the vampires that were the nobles were not bad people. They were brought to the academy by Lord Kuran, Lord Kaname, or whichever way you want to do it, because they wanted to try to have humans and vampires coexist together. And that was probably one of the coolest stories I've ever heard. So you have this day class with these male and female students who fawn over the night class, which are the vampires, and they didn't really understand, and I don't think they got to really understand, unfortunately, even at the end, what was really happening. What was happening was there was turning into this battle of control that was brilliantly played out. Not just in season 2 between all sorts of factions, but what was happening with Zero internally in season 1, and even more so in season 2. It was a well-crafted story. The animation, you have to remember, we're talking 2008, but the animation back in 2008, I love it. And it was Studio DEEN, remember, that did it, and they did, like I said, 07 Ghost. The character development between all the characters, not just the mains, but not just like what you would consider like a small group of mains, but everybody that was a supporting character, really. It was almost like this series did something that you don't really hear about a lot of series do. They took a small group of mains and they took the bulk of the supporting characters, if not all of them, and they gave you a reason to care about each and every single one of them. It didn't matter who they were. Okay? Didn't matter if you're Toga, didn't matter if you were Kaizen Cross. It didn't matter if you were Edo, it didn't matter if you were Khan. Didn't matter if you were Ruka, didn't matter if you were Seiren, didn't matter who you were. You became an important figure in the story. And the way it happened wasn't just because of their development, it was because of manipulation that was going on through the story. And the way that they, we'll say, quote unquote, played their parts was brilliant. You could say they were maybe just acting on the orders they were given by their head chief, their head lord, but they weren't. I mean, in some cases, I think they genuinely got emotionally involved with Yuuki, which, by the way, I saw two spellings for that. One with 2 U's, and I saw one with 1. I don't know which one's right, but I was seeing 2, so I used the one that I saw with 2 U's. I think it is just 1, though. But oh my god. When I knew we were getting to the end of the story, I didn't want to see an end. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to see what happened after the aftermath of this battle, because Cross Academy eventually it's not just an academy anymore. And you learn a lot, especially towards the end of the series. You learn a lot about, his being Kaname's family heritage. You learn about the twins. You learn about, everybody. People righting wrongs that they fucked up on. People needing to try and carry out orders, but they find out that the people that they were carrying out the orders for were kind of screwed. It was brilliantly laid out, and that is something that you don't see a lot of anymore. So, let's wrap this up. Should you be watching this series? Well, like I said at the beginning, yes, you need to watch this series. It is 26 episodes, because it's 13 episodes for both seasons. But it is well worth the time. It is well worth the emotional investment. You owe it yourself to go watch this season, or this series. And who knows, maybe when the new one comes out in December, because Sojo Beat said on Facebook there's a new one coming out in December, maybe, just maybe, we'll get a season 3 in some shape or fashion. And you know what? If there is a season 3, and I'm saying this now, if there is a season 3 and it's a whole new cast and they do something completely different, fine. If they do a season 3 and it's related to what happens after season 2, that's fine also. I don't care. As long as you give me a story and characters that I can care about and I can relate to, I am all for it, and I'll be giving a thumbs up when I do that review. But you definitely need to be watching this series. I know this review is long, but goddamn, I had a lot to talk about, and I think you deserve to hear it. Anywho, you have a good night. The next time I see you will be on Monday. Actually, it'll be on Tuesday, because I'm going to do another series. And also, real quick, Thursday, season 2 of Psycho-Pass begins. Next Thursday, rather. I'm going to be doing a first impressions of the first episode of Psycho-Pass season 2. So that will be happening on Thursday, and that day that will be held just for that series on the blog. So, I will talk to you all later. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.